Hello my fellow residents. I know a lot of you out there have been paying attention to the retro gaming market lately and been seeing all of these clone systems come out, like the Retro Duo, the Retro Trio, or the Retron 5. Systems that are taking old cartridges and getting them to run on modern televisions, and in some cases upscale the resolutions to high definition, which is pretty damn solid. But I'm starting to get burnt out by having all these systems come out that pretty much do the same thing over and over again. I want to start to see new clone systems that can run disc-based optical media. Yeah, I'm talking about the PlayStation, I'm talking about the Sega CD, I'm talking about the Sega Saturn, and heck, even when it comes to cartridges, we still don't have all the cartridges being played on clone systems like the Nintendo 64. It's really cool to play all the older retro consoles, but some of the more modern retro systems, which is the strangest sentence to say in the world, are just not being covered by anybody, and that's kinda sad. We have the PlayStation 3, which can play PlayStation 1 games in high definition, but it's a pretty expensive system. I would love to see somebody release a new system that from one drive can play everything from the classic era. Imagine having a clone system that can play the PlayStation games and the Sega CD games and the Saturn games, maybe even CDI. What if it could run the Amiga 32 games, or a whole bunch of other disc-based media that's just kind of forgotten and old now, but we all had it running from one system. And maybe there was just like a Nintendo 64 cartridge on the top so we could run Nintendo 64 games in high definition, which up until this point, no one's really done. Sure, the Wii can run a whole bunch of Nintendo 64 games through its whole Wii Shop emulation thing, but the Wii initially is just, standard definition. I can't believe nobody's been going back and getting these old Nintendo 64 games to run in modern res. That brings me to something else. We've been seeing a lot of companies re-release their older video games in newer formats and stuff, like with Rare Replay, which was fantastic. See, what Rare did was they took all of their old video games and modernized them to run on the Xbox One. Games that were originally on the Nintendo 64 and the NES, and they just look amazing. See, I'm a traditionalist, and one of the things they did, which I'm kind of not happy with, was they modified the game code to remove any Nintendo licenses or brand associations, which kind of alters the game in general, and I kinda don't like that. I would have preferred to see one-to-one what you saw on the Nintendo 64 on the Xbox One, but legally they just can't do that. See, we're in an age where we can't get GoldenEye modernized on modern systems, because that game has been pushed around by a whole bunch of different license holders. See, technically MGM Studios is owned by Sony Pictures, and the game itself was created originally with Nintendo money, and Microsoft now owns Rare. Nobody can take GoldenEye 64 and run that on any system because all three companies would have to get together and shake hands. And they're not going to do that because they probably don't like each other too much. So why doesn't somebody come out with a brand new Nintendo 64 clone system that runs those original Nintendo 64 games in high definition? And just beneath that little cartridge slot, a little CD drive that runs all the CD games from the retro era as well. I think it's about time we had a system like that come out, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there would agree with me. Imagine having high-definition classic CD-based games like Snatcher run on modern systems like this mystical clone system I'm thinking of. Let's call it the Rerez. That would be cool.